Hi again, my name's Alister Benn and you're watching Expressive Photography. Now, after a week of a video a day, my throat is just destroyed. And I realized that I've been focusing so much on a lot of really serious things. And today I want to do something even more serious, which is how to pack your bag like a total boss. Now, before we get into today's video, I just want to bring your attention to the little button now that's down at the bottom of the screen there, which is our join button. This is a new feature that we brought in today. It's become available to me and I'm going to do it because I want to do two things. One is pay for our work because this is my job, and secondly, I want to be able to deliver some extra content to the people who really want the extra content and can afford to support our work directly. So click on that. There'll be a little video on there that will tell you what it's all about, and you can choose whether to support us or not. And if you don't, that's fine. We're still going to be producing a video every week, and hopefully you'll enjoy all that anyway. Now, everyone has produced a what's in my bag video, and you can imagine from my point of view that I don't particularly care about that, but the concept of what's in our bag and how we pack to go into the landscape is something that's hugely important. Behind me on the left hand side there's a Nikon D850, a Sigma 50 Prime, a Nikon 80-400 and my Case Wolverine filter kit. As you know, I'm affiliated with Case. Apart from that, that's pretty much all the gear I take into the bag. A couple of lens cloths, and that's it. That kit allows me to do things that I want to do, and I don't have any other considerations. Now, what are the more important things that I take into the landscape with me? Well, first of all, there's this hat, which stays on my head all the time. And I'll tell you why. It's because it looks like this, and the west of Scotland's really cold, and Arctic Finland's really cold. So I wear a hat pretty much all the time. So for people who wonder why I wear a hat, that's the answer. The second thing I always take into the landscape with me is I take Adam. Now, Adam, everyone needs a dog, and Adam is mine. He comes into the field with me all the time, and he's really good at sniffing out lots of compositions. He's really, really good at that. So Adam is always with me. The biggest, my bag packing and who goes into the landscape has been on a timeline with everything else. Your development as a landscape photographer is on a constant timeline. And when I used to go into the landscape, the number of times I used to drive to a location and I would say to myself, I'm going to make some awesome photographs today. And that is expectation. You know, you're going there thinking, I'm going to make photographs. And the problem with having one of these with you, as soon as you stick it in your camera bag, you leave the house with an expectation that you're going to make photographs. And that expectation puts pressure on us because we might drive a long way. We might fly to Arctic Finland again, as an example. And I remember, you know, if people are investing, people who come in workshops, people are investing thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars to fly across the world, to go to a new location, somewhere they might only go for the first once in their entire life. The expectation that you want to return with photographs is huge. Now, it's overcoming that expectation of what you think you're going to achieve is the biggest part, I think, of our evolution as creative people. Is that if you go in with that expectation, and I've talked about it a few times this week in some of these other the other videos I've been posting, if you go into the landscape with expectation and it doesn't deliver, you know, if somehow the conditions don't deliver or your equipment doesn't allow you to do what you want it to do, or you don't know how to use your equipment properly, and you end up struggling with changing settings or focusing or exposing or bracketing or focus stacking, all of these technical things, if we fail to meet our own expectations or the landscape fails to meet our expectations, what's the common factor in that? It's not the landscape, it's our expectations. So it's us that's the primary factor. I've mentioned this a couple of times this week. We have the most influence in terms of the type of images that we're going to make. So how we act in the field and how we prepare ourselves to go into the field, voice starting to go already, is hugely important. The other thing that I used to pack in my bag all the time, and this is 15, 20 years ago, was my ego. I was smiling yesterday because I think it was Robbie Williams had an album out that called The Ego Has Landed, and it's so beautifully profound. You know, it's exactly how you would envision that. I used to pack my ego, you know, because I was out there to make photographs that I wanted people to like. I was out there to make photographs that would make me popular. I was out there to get people to tell me how good a photographer I was. And I'm not proud of this. You know, I look back on it now and what a fool I used to be. What an arrogant, stupid fool. And I hated that. And it's so bizarre to look back 15, 20 years now and think, God, that's who I used to be. But the type of images that you make can be for egotistical reasons. Now, if you do that, that's fine. You know, people can do whatever they want. But the most important thing we can do is decide, why are we there? What are we trying to achieve? Who do we want to be when we go into the landscape? Do we want to be calm, meditative, in flow states, engaging with the landscape, learning more about ourselves, reducing stress, protecting the environment, caring for the place that we are? Or do we want to trample all over wildflowers and ferns to get another photograph that's going to make people think that they were the best photographer ever? Don't get me started on that. So there is one piece of equipment that I do pack in my bag all the time. Now, initially this might come across as vanity, but hopefully I'll explain. And it's this. Who are you? Who are you? No, seriously, Alister, who are you? It's about time that you stood up and, you know, this thing. Because, it's going to sound good, you have to look in the mirror and be comfortable with what you see. That first thing in the morning when you get yourself out of bed, before you've grabbed your bag and got in the car, or you know, got out and hiked into the landscape, that moment where you stand in the mirror and brush your teeth and splash some water on your face, the person who looks back at you, the closer you are to believing that that person is valid, unique, has perspectives that nobody else has, whose voice is of value, that is the most important thing that you will take with you into the field, is the confidence to know that your voice matters. And it's not about trying to impress people who don't know any better. Because, you know, we had a decade in the 80s and 90s where using graduated filters would make super dark, silhouetted rocks and mountains and things like that just to control exposure. And the buying public became habituated to that, and that became normal. So at the end of the day, the person you have to please is yourself. You have to be in the landscape for the right reasons, delivering to you the things you need. And I started by picking up a camera to appreciate birds. That was why I got into landscape photography in the first place. Not landscape photography, photography. And birds were my passion. And it started off with a wonder for birds. And then it became, I wanted to be one of the world's best bird photographers. And I wanted to be recognized as a great bird photographer. So somewhere along the line, my motivation changed. And once I got into landscapes, it was the same idea. I just wanted to be recognized as a great landscape photographer. You know, in this day and age, there are hundreds of thousands of incredible photographers out there. And I don't want to compete. I'm not interested in competing. I'm not interested in trying to be on the list of the top 20 photographers who you should be following around the world. I'm just not interested, because when I'm in the field with my camera, I'm not there to make photographs. I'm there to appreciate nature. I want to protect nature. I want to protect our environment. So I want my footprint to be very gentle out there. So if you want to pack your bag like a boss, you need an Atom, you need a mirror, and any old camera will do, as long as you realize as soon as you put your camera in your bag that there's not an expectation that you're going to come back with great photographs. There's an expectation you should be going out and having great experiences. I know this has been a slightly unusual video. Next week, I am going to start completely annihilating compositional rules. So tune in next Sunday, where I am going to be starting with looking at any compositional rules and basically asking if having any knowledge of them at all is actually adding any value to you and your life and your work. So stay tuned for that one. Secondly, on Wednesday, yet again, the great TJ Thorne. He's got a brand new ebook out about this very thing, which is going out into the landscape in terrible light and being creative. So there's going to be a link to that coming up as well. In fact, I'll stick that link in the bottom of this this page now. So that's it. I'm going to not talk for the rest of the day to try and cure this. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you during the week next week. And have a check out of the join button down there. You might find something you like. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to go and take Adam for a walk.